Well, I titled this thing "Critique Woes" because I figured you might want to talk about
My
some of
critique.
your critique.
I don't know what I did with that printout. I printed all.
Oh,
Oh, here it is. Oh
shit.
yeah.
Sorry about that.
About what?
Oh, nothing. I had my other YouTube open. I don't know why. I think that might be useful. It just probably is more labor for the computer to have two things running video.
Oh yeah. I'll have like 3 of them open by the time I get done here.
I think there was some sort of use that I got out of it, but I can't think of it. So I think I'll close
Well,
it.
Hey, we are. I think it is bigger.
Yeah.
I I always watch it. I have a TV in front of me, mounted on the wall, and I watch it on my iPad so I can watch the questions. And
Mm-hmm.
then of course, I'm recording my phone. Um, so I'm, and then Michelle is streaming something downstairs. Anyway, so how are you doing, man?
Pretty good. I was trying to, I'm looking at this thing and I don't see any immediate way to. I'm supposed to be able to scale you. Maybe I needed to add some extension or something else. I'll have to look at that the
Huh?
next time I sign into it. But
Hmm.
that would be nice to all of a sudden make you about the biggest thing going, and maybe change your proportion or something like that. Anyway, I'll look into it later while we're talking.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was late. I was watching. Well,
What are you watching?
my, well, I had actually I'd come up here and I was drawing, and I'll talk about that in a second. And I was I got sidetracked watching a video about Keanu Reeves' comic book.
Oh yeah.
Berserker
It's gonna be
made
huge, I
three
guess.
hundred $50,000 like in one day or 2 days or something like that. Yeah, I mean Keanu Reeves is awesome, and I love when he comes out and he says comics are awesome. Uh,
Well, I remember when there wasn't anybody that didn't have some sort of like critique of
of his acting.
his legitimacy. Yes, just even anything. I mean, everybody used
Yeah,
to talk about like, man,
what a
what's
doofus.
Hollywood coming to, or whatever. They all had critiques for
What a
Keanu.
doofus.
And
Well,
you have to say, you look at him in something like Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, and it's like, well, maybe Keanu doesn't completely belong there. But I bet you, if I watched it now, it'd be
you'd
like,
go, this
you'd
Keanu's awesome.
he's awesome. He was just young. That was the deal. You can't get around that. Brad Pitt, same way. When he was when he was young, he was getting a lot of that. He's just a pretty boy kind of thing.
Oh yeah. So so what Ellis is talking about is so I'm a member of a program called Comics Experience, and Comics Experience. I'm gonna look for those pages while I'm talking. Comics Experience is an online how to draw comics school, and one of the members is a guy named Bon Amiglia, and I'm sure I'm butchering his last name. He is
That sounds about
I
right.
think he's Filipino maybe. Anyway, he is it is not an American last name. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
And I say that with no disrespect to Mr. Amiglia. Um, anyway, so he's a member. Well, he used to be, and this is how I met him. He was the talent scout at Marvel Comics, and so he he's a member on. He's on the staff. He quit Marvel. He went to like University of Phoenix or some online school and was like a technology guy there. And then he went to Amazon, and he was something with user interface at Amazon. And I think he was fairly high up. I don't know how high or whatever. Anyway, but he's quit that, and now he's working for Andy. I don't know if he's doing other things on the side or whatever. But anyway, so one of the things he said is, hey, since no one's having comic conventions, I'll do a if you do if someone and he put us he put 3 different scripts up, and he said if you'll do at least 3 pages, they were all 5 pages. If you'll do at least 3 pages of these, I'll critique them, and then we'll pick a couple, and I'll do a live critique online.
Mm-hmm.
So as it happens, I've done these pages before. I've done part of them. And so I had thumbnails, and I'm not going to pull out the one I had because I had done one.
Oh, you want me to solo you? Let me look.
No, you don't have to.
Okay, yeah. I think you'd be just as large anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it gets any bigger. Anyway, so these were the pages I did. It's page 1, and it's the Vulture, and this is Spider-Gwen, who is a character I'm not super familiar with. Now, the sample that I did originally, in between issues, I think it was 3 and 4 of my comic, Heaven's Rejects, I had these thumbnails that I'd done in my book, in my sketchbook. And so I thought, well, I ought to draw that because I like drawing, and I thought, well, I ought to draw it. So I think I did 2 pages of these, but I thought, well, I don't really have any affinity to the character because it's a fairly new character. So I drew her in a Bronze Age style, which he kind of liked, by the way. He said something about that. And he liked it. Now, he was under the implication that I'd recently done that because I posted that. Now, the reason why I posted because I did these pages in 3 days. And that was part of the thing. I wanted to see if I could do it in 3 days. And so, and these were evenings. I was working during the day. I think I did them at 4. I think I did the little bits I didn't get done on the 4th day. But anyway, so I posted that one up because the way the forum is, they wanted to make a topic. And so I made a topic, Spider-Gwen samples. I said, just to commit myself, I'm gonna put this up. I'm gonna put this 1 page up. I did this a while back, a couple months previously, and I actually redid the layout because I didn't like the layout. What I had done on it deviated too much from the script. I just took the script and was like, hey, here's what I'm gonna do, and I did my own kind of thing. So this is what I did. So this is the first page. And the deal was, is you see a water tower and it says Vulture's lame. You see Spider-Gwen is writing all this graffiti. And then she looks up and then you see her spider sense. And you can see I flipped this page. I flipped this because when I got to look, I was like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And so it's the Vulture. The Vulture is swooping over here, and there's a little bit of banter back and forth, and then he charges at her. He swoops down on her, and he smashes into this thing that she's on, and then she clings to the wall and webs him in the face. He's blinded, so he bumps into her. Now in the script, it actually said. He knocks her right through the apartment wall into the building. I didn't care for that. I was like, well, why does it have to go through the wall? That didn't make any. To me, it made more sense just to have knock him through a window. And so that's what I did. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, and I haven't seen the original comic, so I don't know what they did in the original comic.
Might get some writers' comments on that.
Well,
but it's just a sample. It's a sample.
Well, and here's something else too. At this point in the story, it said use your judgment on how to handle this. Okay, so I was given carte blanche to do whatever. I followed the script very closely up till then. And so I just said, okay, they go through the window, and then he swipes at her, and then it ends up where they go out. And actually, what I did here kind of doesn't make sense with the rest of it, but I knew I was only going to draw 3, so I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he critiqued me. He gave me a long critique here. I don't want to read over all of it, but he did. One thing he did say is that. He said he appreciated me trying 2 different styles, and I was like, and I had already told him I did the other one a long time ago, but I mean I said it in the deal. He just didn't catch that apparently. But he talked about the Spider Girl by DeFalco and Friends, which I think, I'm not sure, but anyway. So he said there's some value in trying out some different styles because you never know. And he says I do want to read this sentence in his thing. It said it's talking about this Spider Girl thing that Marvel did when he was there, which was a few years ago. It says it flew under the radar, but it's one of those books that would seem out of place, but Marvel would carve out room in their schedule for it anyway. So you never know what style of character they may be looking for, especially now as they explore all the ways they utilize all their previous existing IP, including costumes and the like. And so I wanted to share that because he felt like that they were open, which is funny because I've always thought that they wouldn't be open towards a different style. You know, they kind of have two styles now. One of them is like the cutesy Tumblr style, as some people have called it, and then one of them seems to be like the Pepe La Raza style that they do for like Avengers or like the X-Men books that are coming out right now.
We're in fast moving times, and I'm sure that everything about Marvel will be different in 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, I believe that, including the people that run it.
Oh
Unfortunately.
yeah, everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I blow your train of thought there by injecting that?
No. While you were talking, I was going to look and see if there were any comments.
Well, we have some guests that have semi-signed in. Fly Fox Pro was in earlier. Now, some of these guys are multitaskers. They might just check on us every couple minutes.
I got you. I like it. Frank showed it a good parody of Spider-Gwen. Yeah, and he got threatened by the artist, which I've seen. I haven't seen Frank show, but I've seen the artist. Was it Robbie Robertson? And I
want to type in Frank Cho parody of Spider-Gwen.
Yeah,
see what I get.
Well, he Frank Cho'd her up, and you know she's a minor, so the artist really took offense at it. I don't know. I don't want to make a comment that's being recorded.
Okay.
I mean, you gotta be careful about threatening people. You know.
Oh, I see what they're saying. Yeah. Okay.
You know, I mean, but anyway,
he just went heavy on the glutamus. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It wasn't. I mean, good grief! I can promise you, you wouldn't have to search the internet very hard to find much worse stuff about her. You know, I'm sure there's a porn version of her comic floating around somewhere on the internet, probably poorly drawn, but you know,
but that's its charm, I'm sure.
That it's poorly drawn.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so I'll just go over some of what he said.
Okay.
Because I don't want to go through panel by panel, because that would be boring. But really, and I think you nailed it, Ellis. I emailed Ellis I copied and pasted an email to Ellis, and he said basically one of them was measuring, because he says, you know, it's interesting. He says, watch out for female characters. Watch out for maintaining consistency how they present their upper body musculature and the size of the head in relationship to each other. On pages 1, panel 3, page 2, 5, and Spider-Woman's head. It's Spider-Gwen. He doesn't even get the character right. Spider-Woman's head is relatively normal size compared to her shoulders on an upper body. On page 1, panel 4, and page 2, panel 3. However, her shoulders and upper body seem larger in relation to her head. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of, what was the other one he said? Oh, that panel. So he's saying her head is, yeah. I mean,
a guy could really, you know, I tried to tell you this. You work too hard at it. If you just get your figures to where everybody is saying, "Wow, what glorious! I love looking at your figures, Scott." if that's all you accomplished was just figures that everybody just says, "Wow, give me more of that." you're done, because you could, if you'll look at your average comic book, almost everybody can figure out a way, after they've set their scene with one background, that they can turn it into just a succession of figures, talking heads, figures doing stuff with an abstraction behind them without detail. Now someone else,
the camera isn't here.
now someone else is going to be able to come along and break that rule, and everybody will love them for doing it and doing a lot of work on their backgrounds. But for the most part, 98% of comics, and great ones too, Kubert, I was right the first time. he didn't knock himself out on backgrounds, you know. He just
well, I think this may sound like this horrible beatdown, but last time I sent in samples, which has been a couple of years, but last time I submitted anything or got any kind of critique, it was like very, they wouldn't even have mentioned head sizes changing between a couple panels because there were so many other things wrong with it. So,
Well,
I really feel like this is kind of
What's progress? Hey, you froze, Scott. Oh.
No. So I get it.
You think your battery? Your batteries are doing all right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it looked like you froze for a second. I guess you're all right.
Now my screen is. Oh, hang on just a second.
Okay.
Hang on. I got it.
They got him. Yeah, that's right. Too many. He was given too much insider information.
Can you still
there
hear
you
me?
Go.
Right?
You're back.
Okay. Well, I think I got an email or something on my phone. Oh, you know what? I moved it, and I may have touched the button outside.
Something happened.
Too much insider information. Anyway, okay, so he said that, but yeah, I think I'm getting better. Let's see. One of the things he talked about in the background, and he said this about the Bronze Age ones too, is, and I knew that I saw this going in, but I didn't. He felt like I should have showed the ground somewhere on this panel. That I'm saying that this. So
it would be, there'd be some vertigo. So you'd have some vertigo.
Well,
after all, these are high flying people.
Well, he felt like this was confusing. How there's this and this. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. What's funny is I have that 3D model of Manhattan. I should have made. I should do what?
You have a SketchUp version of a 3D model of Manhattan?
I've shared you that with you.
That's
the one that Marvel. It's the one that Marvel uses.
Send that to me again.
It's big.
How big is it?
You know what? I'll put it. I'll
put it in Dropbox.
You were just complaining about
I know it.
Dropbox by sharing stuff.
Oh, well, don't share it. Don't share it. Send it by virtue of sending a link instead of sharing. There's two different ways to do that.
I'll see. I'll have to
investigate.
The problem is it's old, and last time I tried to open it, my Dropbox, it tried to update, and the update. But I'll share it. Yeah, it's not a complete Manhattan. But it's streets, and and that's what I should have done, is done that, because it would have been like, it looks just like a marble artist drew it.
I could almost bet you haven't shared that with me, because I would have looked it over pretty good. I would have thought that was quite a treasure trove. I'll look. Maybe I have.
There is no way I didn't share that. There is no way I didn't share that with you. But
I'll look. Well, then just instead of sending me the whole rigmarole, send me the name of it. I'll do a search for it.
Find the email where I sent it to you?
No. Just send me the name of that file, and I will do a search throughout my computers.
I'll look. Before I send it, I'll send you the name. But it's not called Manhattan. It's called something. I'll have to find it, but I know where it's at, because again, that was something I got as part of the comics experience, because my instructor was a Marvel artist, and it's something they supplied all their Marvel artists, and it was, and I've used it on a couple of projects. I haven't used it on.
And it came from game development, right? I mean, it came from.
Well, no, they hired an architect to do it.
Oh wow, sweet!
Yeah,
That really
because
sounds
I have looked for it online, and if you Google that file name, which I can't remember, I found an architect's website that was listed as one of their projects, was to create a 3D model of Manhattan for Marvel Entertainment Corp. So
cool.
You know,
well,
so
there you go. I'm almost sure I
there's
don't have this.
It's a couple streets of Manhattan and a couple buildings, but it's the way it's made. You can set up a lot of different shots.
Oh yeah, just like a moving stage flats around.
Yeah, it's like a stage. It's not. It wouldn't be a game thing because it's not.
Yeah, it's too limited.
It's not complete. Yeah, it's pretty limited. But what it's got is real detailed. And there's also like the Daily Bugle, I think. There's a couple other buildings that are also files, but the good one is the New York file. Anyway, okay. So that was one thing is he said my backgrounds were confusing right there, which also this may be part of living in a town that doesn't have any skyscrapers or doesn't have very many skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Well, we have tall buildings. But not this kind of building, and so I had trouble figuring out how to do this anyway. So I'm not surprised that he found that confusing. I probably should have did more photo reference here or something. Then the big thing that he talked about was dynamicism. That's not. I'm not saying that right. How do you say that word?
Dynamism.
Dynamism. There you go.
Dynamic.
Anyway,
make it dynamic.
And he said this is going to be a theme on all the reviews I give, not just mine. But what he talked about was let's see, the big thing that he talked about was on this page, and this kind of flies into exactly what I'm doing tonight. So he talked about. They're going through the window, but they're really fairly static. He said, you got a lamp blowing over, but you don't, he said there should be more. The guy in the background is reacting, but not, he's just kind of standing there, which I thought was, well, he's kind of frozen, but no, I mean, he was like, everything should be moving in that panel.
Right.
That was kind of, I mean, I'm sure
one thing how to draw the Marvel way. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing he talked about is, and he talked about specific things in that panel, but he also talked about, he said, I don't know where he said, now he gave me like a panel by panel breakdown. I won't go over that, but this was kind of the big thing. But one thing he said, I can't find that paragraph, but he said that a lot of times they will tell people to look at sports photography. And he said, what I should look at is like stunt photography. Like if you're watching, he said, like in Entertainment Weekly, what would the shot be that they used to show a stunt that was in a movie? Which I don't know how that much difference than, you could use the Spider-Man game nowadays. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, you can do, I guess, captures from it. Xander here, who was on a Doug show with me long ago where we were both puppets, is saying that you look like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles OG buildings.
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean? OG.
Original caster?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, so that's what I've been working on in my sketchbook is trying to draw more dynamic figures. Anyway, that's the critique.
Like I say, that is the solid. Yeah, that's the critique woes. Nobody fell down and said, "What you aren't working? You aren't working. Let me give you this phone number."
Yeah, that's okay.
that sort of stuff happens when, like I say, your stuff just gets to where your appeal level just gets so high that you're done. It sells you automatically. Every little stitch of what you do sells you. I'm not there. I don't, I'm all over the map
Oh, sorry.
with what
Some
I
stuff
do.
fell off my desk.
But all that is, I mean, all of it's, hard work and
Oh, yeah.
focus. You gotta say, this is what I want it to look like.
Well, and that's what I'm doing tonight, because I've drawn this page I'm working on. I drew it. I started it, and I really. So in this panel, the demon lady is sliding down this rope. She shoots a grappling hook, and it like embeds in the trunk of this car, and she'll slide down the rope. And I just thought that was just I got to thinking, I was like, man, I don't like that panel. This is actually, and so I was going to do it a different way.
That looks pretty cool, though. That way you've left it. I like how you're gridding up your truck and all that. Getting
this
all
one?
Really super solid. Yeah.
Well,
Looks
because good. and I've been taking reference photos. I just want to push it a little bit more than my photo. I couldn't get a photo that I liked, so I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to draw it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can draw. I got my Hot Wheel for reference, so But anyway, so that's what I'm doing tonight, or that's what I'm working on tonight. But yeah, I'm like, I've got 6 pages left of this comic to draw, 6 pages to draw in ink, and then I'm done. And I'm like, well, I need to knock it out of the park. I need to end it on a high note, and so I'm gonna do it. I don't really care how long it takes me and how many times I have to redraw pages. I'm gonna do. I want the ending to be really strong.
Mm-hmm.
So
that sounds like a good notion.
Well,
about
here's the thing. They're probably not going to put out the book until they're going to take it to a comic convention. I don't know when the next comic convention to be.
Sometime after November.
Yeah, there've been little ones. There was one in Midwest City this weekend. It wasn't a comic convention, but OFCON has been canceled, and that's in October. Yeah.
Wow, I wonder if it's ever been canceled in the past, because that may have the distinction, that people listening to us, of being the oldest con in the country.
How long does it go back to?
Oh, it's ages. It's as old as John Woolley, and he was just he wrote a newsletter that I think he's like 72, or no, he is 70. He just turned 70. That makes him a good 3 years older than me. And when you think about it, a guy
and a lot older than me.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, make that distinction. He's a lot older than me. He started early. He was kind of one of those wonder kids.
But I mean, was he going when he was a kid, or did he start it when he was a young adult?
I don't think he was a young adult. I think he was totally a kid. I'd have to check on that.
So you're thinking it's at least 50 years old. Well, yeah, it's got to be. Yeah. It's older than 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it goes back at least to the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
Mid 60s, maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe earlier. I like NASA Tance, or Nata. I don't know how to say that.
Natasha International.
Natasha International. I can draw them. They come out with more curves than Lady Death. LOL. No flat normal girls in my work.
Oh, no flat normal girls in my work. Yeah. More curves. Yeah. And Lady Death, I guess, is pretty curvaceous, huh?
Yes. My wife and I we're working at home, and we have a TV in her office, which is where we're working. I get back to it because I'm at the computer desk, but she's working at her desk, and there's a show that comes on at 10. I think it's called the Wendy Show, and there's a woman on there apparently she was a radio DJ or something, but she's not flat. And that's all I'm saying.
Well, that's. I used to love watching old Elvira just because of that. I mean, it's like,
Oh, this one puts Elvira to shame.
Really, I was just transfixed on Elvira. Her telling all her. She reminded me of the old classic burlesque comedians that come out just hanging out of their costumes and then just come out and do dirty jokes. Of course, Elvira's humor usually wasn't dirty. Hey, Fly Fox Pro says, I bought Curious Accounts. Thank you. Curious Accounts is available on my Amazon links. If you want to go there, you'll find it in Kindle version. And he says, what's
not in print?
Yeah, not in print yet. I'm working on getting a paperback version of it, but we've been having a big discussion with Matt C., who does the something called Kyrie, which is really cool. He's a historian. He's a real smart guy. He's always doing stuff about, I don't know if the appeal is like it's set in kind of like pre-Jesus times or what, but it's that era. And it's really cool stuff. It's like why goof around looking for fantasy stuff? Our own past is well full of fantasy, And, And I mean, it can be. I mean, you could just load up your imagination with all the stuff that has gone before. And these guys that are deeply into history are that way. They're building their own little.
Eric Shanauer with Age of Bronze.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Eric loved his little things he was doing with that. And anyway, the next project is kind of what I'm like thumbnailing right here. It's DL and Odious, and Odious is the robot. He's sitting here waiting for DL to come along on his motorcycle, and they're about to meet for the first time here. But Odious seems to have more knowledge than he ought to have, considering they're just about to meet. But and they're going to have a mad race with the classic characters, the weirdos that used to be designed by Big Daddy Roth, and they're going to have to race for their lives against them in a kind of a Roadrunner and Coyote kind of environment. That's going to be one of the main design references I use in terms of like crazy boulders and stuff like that, and big thrusts of rock here and there.
Oh yeah, kind of a Chuck Jones.
Yeah, very good. That's a way to shorten up exactly what I'm describing, a Chuck Jones kind of look.
Background.
Hey, one of the manga I am translating to English is based on Kyrie, too. I should get Matt to see how the stories compare. Yeah, you should. Right now, this back and forth we're having on Twitter involves whether there is a good company that does publish on demand for comics. In other words, I can say, no, I'm never going to lick a stamp. If you want my comic book, go to Amazon. But Amazon doesn't do comics. They only.
Oh, they don't do floppies, basically.
They don't do floppies. They do paperbacks or they do Kindle. And I want a comic book. That's what I drew. So if it doesn't look like a comic book, I will have failed. So I've got to at some point get a comic book produced. But the big stopping point, I went into it again and then discovered I have ordered from Blam in the past, but I have not gone the extra step of becoming one of their creators because they insist on filling out a W-9 form that you give you give your social security number on. And it's like, hey, man, though that's supposed to be kept close to the vest, you know.
But you're
On that
not
sort
working.
of,
But you're not working for them, are you? I mean,
no, you're not. But supposedly they keep a running tab on things, and you know, there's such small amounts on your typical
yeah,
thing. I'm not, you know, I'm not anybody huge. I'm not Keanu Reeves for one thing. I'm not going to be guaranteed an automatic thing.
yeah. Well, the sad thing is it's probably just enough to cause you trouble. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, like Rusty here says, Amazon Japan just outsources it to several select printing companies. But the same thing, these are typical comic printers, so comics end up being quite expensive. Yeah.
That's typical book printers. That's the problem. We knew a guy that was selling comics local. He was a local guy, and this has been a couple of years ago. And he had his own line of comics that he was doing, and the books he was doing, I think they were costing him. I think he was selling to the people for like a a periodical, a monthly comic. Let's call it that.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the Oklahoma.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Okie Comics. Okay.
Yeah, well, not him, but one of the guys that was in the group.
Okay.
And they were selling. I think it was R.J. Woods that was telling me this. It was either R.J. Woods or that guy up in Tulsa, Aaron.
Oh yeah.
At Equinox Comics, but he was selling his books. If he was selling them for $5, they were costing him $4.95 to print. He was making nothing above printing.
Yes.
You know, and it's like
that's the deal. Comics.
Oh my gosh.
Good way to stay broke is to
exactly
decide your greatest love, and the only thing you want to do is comics.
Golly, you get to the point where you're like, man, I'd just rather sit and draw my sketchbook if that's all the reward I'm going to get is in fact, you know what? He may have been printing at a loss. Now that I think about it,
yeah,
and I mean, you don't want to do that. That's ridiculous.
Not if
I don't think I've ever drawn the back end of this car. I'm trying to find out what the taillights look. I can't tell from the model. I want to be consistent. So I'm looking through the old pages. Good grief. It's raining outside.
Is it?
It is here. Ellis and I live at different ends of town, so.
Yeah, we can have totally different climate zones. Yep.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hey, this car came out good. I don't know if I showed this on the feed. That came out pretty good.
Oh yeah,
did you see
looks
that?
like the old. Looks like the old.
It's a Lincoln.
From, what was the name of that with Brolin that came out? That was about a cursed car. I think it was just called the car.
Christine.
No, it's called the car. I think.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I ever saw that. I have not drawn the back end of this car. Oh, here it is. Okay. I want to make it. See, I got this. Right, I drew it once. I want to make sure. Did you see this? My fantasy van, Ellis.
See it.
The Wizards are drawing a van with a fantasy mural on it. Or drawing. Did I say drawing? Driving. Anyway.
Wow, Rusty's going to work with somebody in Australia. See, all this stuff, that seems so exotic to me But why not? I mean, it's
the world is flat, Ellis.
Yeah, the world is flat.
You can work in it. Does Rusty live here or
I don't know. Let's ask him.
I say here. I guess here is Rusty. Where do you live? Which continent?
Rusty tried to help out with Christine, which I think I've got somewhere laying around here. I need to watch it again. So it's a pretty cool movie.
Oh yeah,
it's one of my. I thought Stephen King. That's during that period of Stephen King. You know, if you read On Writing by Stephen King. Oh, he lives in Japan. Yeah. He is Australian though.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Just
some of those.
typical American. Assume everybody lives in
Yeah,
America.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I always assume first.
Please forgive us, Rusty.
Yeah, I see that
It
long.
it is cool that you can talk to people that are all the way around the world. You
Mhm.
know, for sure.
I got a
So
lot of
you
react. Go ahead.
do. Oh, I was just gonna say. So you like the movie Christine, or what you were saying that it came out in the time that what?
It came out during that period. If you read the book On Writing by Stephen King, he has a period where basically he was living on booze and cocaine, and actually does not even remember writing Cujo. And
Really?
he was
Cool.
just. But
I knew it.
but that's like me saying I like this stuff that Frazetta did, where he gave himself a 6-hour deadline so he could get out and play baseball.
Oh yeah.
That very quick, sketchy stuff that Frazetta did in a lot of cases for the Warren covers are just basically pick outs and sketches. And like last week, I was working on top of Masonite, where
Yeah.
you like I've got Masonite as a drawing board, where you can just see the Masonite texture of the painting is 90% of the painting, and which it just shows you what I like the best might have had the least effort put into it. So
But you can't see effort.
yeah,
Usually.
exactly. Well, yeah, well, you kind of can, but you can only see that the fact that the guy that put a minimum of effort in it has got to the point where his minimum of effort looks like a lot. I mean, he's obviously a Frazetta. Once he starts making marks, you've got
Yeah. Well, yeah. But you can't look. Well,
hello Nasser.
um,
I'm reading your script.
I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna back this off. But you can't look at work and tell how long it took somebody to do it.
No, well,
But there's some people's work that you can look at and you go, that took a long time to do. But even then, think about a guy like Jeff Darrow, right? You look
right.
at stuff, you go, that took him days to do. But then we see a guy like Kim Jong Gi who do something very similar off his head. I've seen him do mammoth drawings out of his head in an hour.
Yeah.
I mean murals.
Well,
And
that was
so you can't see effort a lot of time always.
the thing about being on those drawing quarters. The rest of us would be working and sweating and doing this and that, and then guys like Weldon and Miller would be doing stuff that was, just a nice splash page that was just ready for publication, and the rest of us are barely off
Just
the mark
dying.
on our rough sketch. So
Well,
it's a lot of it's mileage. Obviously Miller and Weldon don't think anything about it. They sit down and they've got their little groove they get into, and at the end of a couple of hours, they've got something that anybody would be happy to look at.
Yeah.
Natasha International, you have me intrigued now. Who is Frazetta's protege? I bought prints of Walking Dead paintings and a Freddy Krueger, Jason, and Evil Dead mashup. He painted on my shirt. He pointed out my shirt was a Frazetta ripoff, the old Castlevania cover. Okay.
So who was it? Do we know, or is that
I don't know. I'll wait till she writes it. Yeah. Flyfox, Aaron Lopresti comes in with 15 minutes left and kills it. Yeah.
Is Aaron Lopresti in the group?
He probably is. Yeah.
I didn't know he was part of the disenfranchised people.
It's been so long since I was part of it. I wouldn't even recognize half the new names.
You're outcast from the outcasts.
No, I'm not. Well, they still have me in the direct messaging part of it, and I interact with that every now and then.
Oh, so you could join if you wanted to,
Yeah,
or you'd have to get a
well,
slot.
I have to get a slot, and everybody enjoys the self promotional aspects of that. I ought to get into it just because I've got something to sell now. Yeah,
Hey,
sure.
well, yeah. And
What am
didn't
I
you make?
thinking?
You're thinking like a chump. That's what
Yeah,
you're
so
not. You're not thinking.
yeah. There you go.
You're not thinking with your wallet. Oh, I mean, we got a deal at work because I'm working at home, right? And there's a deal where, because of like working at home, they're like, well, if you fill out this thing, we'll reimburse you for part of your expenses. And I'm like, it's like your cell bill and your internet, and it's like I don't know if I even want to mess with it. It's like
Yeah.
I'd pay. This is stuff I would have anyway. Why are you reimbursing me? Just keep paying me. I'll be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me keep my job, and you don't have to. Don't worry about paying my cell phone bill. Just pay all my bills.
Yeah. Exactly. That's it. If the average comic creator had my situation where they had a little bit of money coming in, they'd be happier people. I see people, when you have to scramble
Oh
to
yeah.
to pay, just little
Oh
things.
oh
You're
yeah.
not
Well,
you're obviously get more stressed in your life and everything. And comics just does not pay. Everybody's got to have that extra job.
no. And then a lot of comic people are like, "Well, I got to live in Portland or New York," and
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
like, you're insane. Why would you live in? Well, beyond anything else, why would you live some place that was that expensive? I don't get it. You know.
Well, there is networking that goes
Yeah,
on, and
but that's good when you can't afford an apartment. That's good. That'll
yeah,
help when you need a roommate. You
yeah.
know, you can
That's how
use it.
everybody lives in LA. They live with a roommate culture. And if you
Golly.
absolutely hate having roommates,
Well, I mean,
that culture is not one you want to have to go back to ever.
well, I mean, and again, if you got a roommate, that's fine. I mean, I'm married, so technically
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have a
that's
roommate.
yeah, sure.
But I don't
Uh,
know. It, yeah, I think if I don't know. Let's put it this way: poverty's tough.
it sucks. Yep. Okay.
I've been there.
Have you seen anything that was of interest lately? I binge watched since the last time we talked, which is
Yeah.
just a week. I have watched all of Norsemen on Netflix. You don't get
Oh
Netflix, do
yeah.
you?
I don't get that. All I have is the only subscription service I have is Beyond Cable, which I don't even have the premium channels. Is because I would be watching movies all the time.
Hey,
Is
wait,
I have
I,
Amazon
I,
Prime.
Amazon Prime. Well, that's all you need, really. Hey,
No more
and
time than I have.
of course, if you've got Roku, you've got a lot of channels you can.
Oh yeah, I do have a Roku, and I got all kinds of channels. And we have a channel through our library that gets us stuff. I tell you what I did watch.
Oh
I'm
yeah, go ahead.
curious.
Canopy.
I
Go ahead.
watched a documentary about the band ZZ Top. Are
I
you a
did
fan of
too.
ZZ Top?
I saw that. It's a very good. It's too bad about the drummer though. But I tell you what,
Wait.
they didn't do with the old traditional thing of saying we need a new drummer. This drug addict, we
Oh
can't
yeah,
hang with this drug addict drummer. We need a new one. No,
yeah.
they were like family. They were good.
Yep, yep. They had some early lineup changes, but not very many once they got into ZZ Top. And I love ZZ Top. And of course, my
Yeah, I
wife
do
is from
too.
Texas, so I gotta, you know,
Yeah, I loved them that much more after seeing that documentary. Those guys
that's
are really cool.
yeah. They got kind of their groove that I really like.
Hmm.
It's ironic because I've been listening in my car. I had there's a new or relatively new
You know
greatest hits
why?
that's come out.
I
Do
guess I
what
like
else?
them. I guess I like them so much because from that early age when you so much want to be creative and have what you do matter and all that. They were able to make themselves into something that's what they did. That was their identity
Yeah.
from very early on. And I really dug that about them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're, well, I mean, of course, I was in high school when the Eliminator came out, and they were on MTV, and they really blew up.
That's when it blows
And
up. Yeah.
yeah, and but I like their earlier stuff too.
Me too. I was aware of them way back in college when, Tejas and all that came out. Hey,
Yeah.
someone now, Natasha International says Arthur Suidam was the protege. I don't know if he was ever an official protege.
He's kind of
Now he was a guy that obviously was aware of Frazetta, but
oh sure.
I don't think he worked at being a protege of any sort. I think he was just a guy like Mike Hoffman that had an eye
Yeah, I would call
for that Frazetta appeal.
I would call Hoffman more of a, but I mean not an official pro. In fact, anytime you post something online, people just chastise it about ripping off Rosetta.
Well, he creates all. I mean, he doesn't invent all of it. Obviously, it touches base on so much on what Frazetta has done, what has gone before.
Right.
Rusty has seen Norseman, and he says the show is fantastic, and he's right. It is. It was so much fun to watch every bit of it. They do something to where it's fun to, as a guy that has had to think about story structure a little bit, they do something at the end of it. The whole thing could be said to be flashback. The whole last season 3, these are six episodes per season, 30-minute episodes. So we're only talking about 3 seasons. You only have to invest 9 hours to watch it, and the whole thing is all the backstory, and you could take every bit of it and put it on the front, and it might still work, but it is so much more delightful to have it on the back end, and you say, look at that. That's why that guy's like this, and it is really, it's a lot of fun the way they've done it. And it is also a lot of fun because these are Norwegian actors, but they all have their English ability, but it's all really nicely, heavily, accented to where, I don't know, it just makes it funnier the way that they're talking to me in English. Authentic. Yeah. And it's also, what's also hilarious about it, see, the concept is that we're looking at this pitiless culture that, it goes out and murders and pillages. Rapes and pillages, exactly. That's what
as the Vikings are wont.
Yeah, it's their favorite thing to do. And Natasha International. That's what he told me. Phony or not, these are some good prints. Yeah. Suidam is great.
Oh yeah, he's good. He is good. He's done a lot of cool stuff. He was real famous because he did a lot of the zombie covers for the Marvel stuff.
Beautiful alien work. Some
I have
of
an art book of his, an old one that's really cool.
Yeah, and he was doing.
And you know what? He was his pen and ink work is very reminiscent. I can't say
reminiscent.
Reminiscent.
I can't talk, and I can say reminiscent.
Of Frazetta's pen and ink work, for sure.
Yeah, Rusty.
But
likes the show I like. Yeah, it's very fresh in my mind.
Well, you know what I watched? My wife had to go on a job inspection today, so she was not here at lunchtime. She was at the airport inspecting something at the airport, and so I had the television to myself, and we've been watching. Well, yeah, it's like a treat. Yeah, you're like it's like Tuesday for me, but anyway, we've been watching Andy Griffith. I talked about that. By the way, I told you that Barney Fife's mom. I heard this in a podcast about Andy Griffith. Barney Fife's mom, for one episode of Andy Griffith, they brought her mom on, and her last name was Culver. Come to find out, her husband, like in 1907, was the guy that founded Culver City.
Huh.
That's where I got that little piece of trivia I gave you today, because I knew you had lived in Culver City or close to it.
Yeah, no, right in the heart of it, kind of.
Anyway, so I was flipping through the channels, or I was looking on Amazon, and I said I should watch part of a movie during my lunch hour. So I watched part of the movie Valley Girl with Nicolas Cage.
I was thinking about watching that. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I thought it was great. Now I'm going to quantify that. It is not a masterpiece of cinema, or at least I've only seen about 30 minutes of it. But it was cool because I was watching. I was like, holy cow, this is what girls in my high school look like.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, you go back to that.
It's so much of a time frame.
Yeah, time capsule. Yeah.
It is a very good time capsule of a particular time. Oh, hang on just a second. Hang on.
Okay.
Sorry, I dropped my HB pencil.
Well, yeah, you don't want to do that too often.
Well, I couldn't reach it with my headphones on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I always figure, well, the pencil's done for. But anyway.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about your stylus is dropping them.
Yeah.
You can sacrifice a few pencils here and there.
Oh, yeah. I've got more pencils than I know what to do with. But anyway, I was watching that today at lunchtime. I didn't see much of it, but I thought it was pretty cool. I may watch more of it tonight. I'm off work on Friday because of the holiday.
Yeah, well, yeah. Check on your. If you like this, you'd like this. You know that's what I like about Prime. It's like you.
Oh yeah, they're good at feeding you stuff.
Yeah, they start feeding you stuff, and they have a bunch of other '80s stuff like it. And
oh yeah,
I've got a bunch of them on my watch list now. So yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you can overdo it, obviously.
Oh yeah, my watch list is so full.
Yeah.
But I think I'm craving. Start off they were at a mall, and not that I'm particularly want to go to a mall, but just the idea of going to a public space with other people is just wildly appealing right now.
Yeah.
Just because,
malls, that's weird. I guess California might still have a semi-mall culture, but for the most part, that malls haven't they all boarded up? I don't know.
No, there's still several malls here, but
really?
Oh yeah.
There's like 50 Penn Place, right?
Well, 50 Penn Place is more an office complex.
Oh, really?
But but I mean, it's got a shopping center, but it's only 2 floors and not very many shops. But Penn Square Mall across the street is still functioning. Mm-hmm. And then Quill Springs Mall.
I guess that's what I meant to say was Penn Square Mall.
Yeah, and then I talked to one of my employees today, and they went and saw a movie over the weekend at a movie theater. Which I thought was great. They saw New Mutants. I said, how was it? They said, it was all right. Yeah. He says that about this guy's in his early 20s.
He's not so-and-so Reed. I can't Rex. Yeah, Rex Reed.
Rex Reed, yeah.
He's not Rex Reed.
I think he has fairly good taste. He recommended I watched Detective Pikachu, which is something that's totally out of my wheelhouse. But I went to the library. This is before the pandemic, right before the pandemic. I went to the library and they had it.
Gary Shipman that writes Titan, Mouse of Might, Fly Fox Pro says Gary Shipman said that mutant movie was awful. So there's your Rex Reed review.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay. That mouse Titan thing looked pretty good. I saw it on your.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. I'm impressed as a guy that is obviously struggling with how to get a proper paperback out, and then something arrives like that, and it's like, ooh, this will last a long time. It's really nicely hardcovered, and it's still just a comic book, though. I mean, it is just comic book interiors, just done well, just nicely.
Yeah,
But a lot of pages. But he did it like he announced or started working on it in earnest like 3 or 4 months ago, and here it is.
oh, yeah.
Arriving in the mail now. He just got serious about creating it.
That's a pretty decent turnaround. It says the
Yeah,
guy's
yeah.
been working on this comic forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this panel works a lot better.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Maybe. I don't know.
I just wish, I don't know. What are you using for lead there? You get so heavy
This is a
handed
HB.
on your. Well, HB is a
What
dark
is an
lead, but
H?
that's not the point. It's just how much you get into it, how much you dig into it. Like I'm
Well,
erasing here
yeah.
and erasing,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to ink it.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. You're inking it. It's kind of hard to get ink to settle. Do you semi-erase it before you start inking it?
No, I don't really have a problem with that. You'd think it would, but it doesn't. I have not had any problems with the ink lifting. Now to be fair, I haven't.
When you watch David Finch work, you realize that he is going to draw everything, have it almost finished, and then come back with his eraser and take it all off the page. But he still knows right where he's still got a faint ghost where it was at, and then he's able to ink right on top of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could do that if I wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you got done erasing that, you could still see it. I can tell that because you do have a kind of a heavy hand on that line. You really make sure things have got lines around them, basically.
Well, I want the pencils to look finished.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing, and I've heard a lot of people complain about is that comics nowadays, the pencils are just so spotless. That a lot of, and you look at like Bronze Age pencils, they weren't that clean.
Yeah.
You look at a guy like Rich Buckler. If you ever see his pencils, they were very loose.
Yeah, I remember Buckler. Yeah, Rich Buckler. Seemed like I was going to have one other topic before we sign off here. We are over an hour already.
Oh, are we?
I was trying to think
Time
what it was we
flies
might
when
talk about.
When you're having fun. There was something. Oh, did you get those files?
What files?
The audio files?
Oh yeah. I got those. I got those at the moment you sent them. That's the deal. The deal about the sharing thing and not being able to get rid of the share. Two of them are new. Okay.
Yeah, that I put on that website I made.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Yeah, Dr. No and Goldfinger are new, and Barry is getting me the rest of them. And so next couple, I'm gonna go get a USB from his house.
That would be nice. Yeah.
And I figured since I have the web space, I might as well make a thing about it.
Well, I've got information you might be interested in. Do you ever use the interlibrary loans where they they go elsewhere for stuff that they don't have?
I haven't, but I need to. But I haven't really.
The deal is that ever since this COVID deal, it's been out of order.
Oh, okay. I remember seeing
because I've had two of them, and I was used to pretty good service on that. Within a couple of weeks, all of a sudden I've had two that have been around for like say as long as the stupid mask hysteria has gone on. X-Men is a roller coaster of greatness to hot garbage as a franchise. I think everybody.
I would agree with that.
Everybody in the world agrees with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. The X-Men are my favorite comic. I mean, literally, I'm reaching on top of my desk. This is what sits on my desk.
It's got your John Byrne in it, or what?
Yeah, it's signed by John Byrne and Chris Claremont. I've had this since I was a kid. I love X-Men. That has a place of prominent on my drafting table, but the movies have been all over the place. Some of the ones that people hated, I love. Some of them, the one I thought, what was the Wolverine where he went to Japan?
Logan.
That was
Logan. I like that one.
no. I thought no. Logan was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
That was okay. But my favorite Wolverine movie was, I think it's called Wolverine, or maybe The Wolverine.
Was that the
Anyway,
one
it
that
was
features the big fight atop the whatever it is, the where
with the Silver
the,
Samurai.
the first appearance of Deadpool, played by Ryan Reynolds?
No, that's the one that sucked.
Yeah, yeah. Supposedly, yeah, that one was supposedly everybody mocks that one pretty badly. That's fascinating, isn't it? That a guy like Ryan Reynolds is invested enough into that he'd have something that did poorly like that showing, and then he'd want to come back and say, "This is how you do Deadpool."
I'm going to tell you a funny story, and I'll tell it to all of our listeners. Okay, so
Okay.
I have known, if you've listened to the show, I've probably said this more than once, but I have known CB Cebulski for at least 15 years, probably 17 years. Met him at San Diego. He reviewed my pages. He was nicer to me than Bond was, and he gave me his card. And so that spring, my wife and I were going to New York, and so I said, "Hey, I'm going to contact this guy." So I contacted him. He gave me a tour of Marvel Comics. I've hung out with him. A few years later, when that Wolverine movie came out, we went to New York, like literally a couple days after I saw it, and CB, I called up CB, or I texted him or whatever. I was like, "Hey, we're going to New York." He's like, "Oh yeah, call me. We'll hang out." And I was like, "Hey, I saw the new Wolverine movie." And he's like, "Oh, yeah." Even the Marvel people didn't like that first Wolverine movie, the one with Ryan Reynolds where his mouth was sealed shut or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway.
I got to see that someday. That I like to catch up with all the movies that everybody just totally hates, and I want to see what it is about them that they hated.
Have you seen Dark Phoenix?
Uh,
The latest X-Men? Oh,
I may
saw
have.
it.
I'm not sure.
I got the Blu-ray if you want to borrow it sometime.
Cool.
I liked, anyway, talking about the X-Men movies. The first one was different, but I hated how they changed the costumes too much. But I kind of get why they did. Second one was pretty good. The third one, I actually liked it when I saw it, and then everyone started telling me how bad it was. X-Men United or whatever it was.
Yeah, that franchise that had Olivia Munn in it as Psylocke.
No.
This
This was before that. This
Okay.
is the third one, and then when she came, then the Psylocke one. Man, that movie, that was Age of Apocalypse.
Okay.
What were you going to say about it?
I was only on board with that one in terms of like being even slightly interested because Olivia Munn is such a sexy thing, but she's a sexy thing if you if you show off her fine rear. And it was like this whole movie was designed to irritate
Oh my
me.
gosh.
They showed nothing from the rear of her character. And I thought, did she get annoyed by the notion that all the shots,
You
or
put that camera in front.
Yeah, you keep that camera in front of me.
She was avoiding the male gaze.
Yeah, exactly. She was avoiding my male gaze all the way through that movie. And that movie, because of that, it really bugged me all the way through it. Every time she was present.
Just because you can probably Google that and find
Probably a dozen different comments like that. Yeah.
No, it's just a dozen different pictures.
Yeah.
I thought that one was bad. I thought I thought First Class was good. A good revamp. Some of the choices were kind of weird in terms of characters they chose to put in it and that sort of thing. Let's see, what was after First Class?
X-Men 3. Fly Fox says he was in the theater, saw it, stood up and loudly booed. It sucked.
Okay,
Yeah.
X-Men 2, I went and saw it on a Friday night with our friend DL that we do a podcast with.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there, and at one point I got a text from my wife, and she said, the weather's getting bad. And about 30 minutes later, all the kids, their phones started ringing. They'd get their phone, they'd answer it, then they'd leave. And it was parents telling them to get out of there because there was a tornado coming down the road. And my thought was the safest place in this mall is probably in this movie theater.
Yeah.
And so we watched it, and everybody left until finally they turned the projector off and the lights on. And so we left, and that's how. And then, but they gave us like passes, so we came back and saw it later. But literally, and when we left, they finally ran us out of the theater. We went to the mall, and they were like, "Well, you got to stay here because there's a tornado coming." Well, I was talking to this was pre-smartphone. I had a flip phone at the time, so I had no weather radar like I do now. But I was talking to my wife, and she told me where the tornado was at. And so we left. They told us not to. They tried to make us stay, but I told them they didn't have the authority to make us stay.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally was like, "Nope, I'm not staying. You can't make me stay." And so we left and drove around the tornado. Dave was on the phone with his wife, who was watching the weather radar, and she was telling us where the tornado, and it was going down the road, and we drove south and went around it and came up behind it, and it actually destroyed some buildings within about a mile of my house. So.
So they were legit concerns that the theater had for you.
Oh, yeah, it was legit. Now, I think the theater did not get struck, so we could have watched the movie and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But, it was...
Natasha International says, Psylocke is my favorite character. She was the only good thing in that movie. Most of the villains just stood and posed the whole time.
You watch it, and you're just like, "Where's the plot in here?"
I was struck by how much of a Stargate kind of thing it was. I mean, this character from is a godlike character that's evil that does things with the help of miscellaneous minions and its own little ancient culture.
Yeah,
being reactivated.
But on the flip side, I loved Days of Future Past. I thought it was great.
Yeah, there's quite a few movies I haven't seen, but I tell you, people will show an every now and then a GIF of the old Hulk from the Woo version. That very early. John Woo. And I'll get an itch to say, that wasn't that bad a movie. I want to see it again.
That movie got crushed because the other movie came along.
What was the other movie?
The other Hulk movie.
Crushed it. Oh, well, it didn't come. Well, did it come right on the heels of it?
Pretty close. The Hulk, or maybe it's the Incredible Hulk, the Marvel Universe Hulk, which actually wasn't. Predated Iron Man. Hulk in the cinematic universe predated Iron Man. I mean, in terms of movie release. No,
he was on TV too.
Well, no. I'm saying in the Marvel universe, chronologically, the Hulk's movie, which has only been one in the Marvel universe, came before Iron Man. It was released before Iron Man. Because I think it was Universal that distributed it, and not Disney. But they I don't know why that the Ang Lee one did so poorly.
Ang Lee, is that who I was trying to turn it into a John Woo movie, I guess. I thought, you're right.
That would have been, you said Woo, didn't you? I didn't even catch it. You said it wrong.
It is Ang Lee. You're right.
I just corrected you and moved on.
Also, go back and play that X-Men game on the SNES. They made Psylocke really thick. Now, that's interesting. And in the Marvel versus Capcom games, well, probably more
They'll make her.
realistic.
To give them time, they'll make her thick in the comic again.
They have a lady Viking in the Norsemen. That's pretty awesome. She is a ass kicker, and the only that season 3 reveals how this all male culture came to have a female raider in their midst. So again, it's just so clever, such good writing. It was Ang Lee, and it was terrible. It departs. It's Fly Fox Pro's opinion, and it departs, doesn't it? I mean, it makes its own universe and makes its own rules, and departs heavily from Marvel, I guess. It doesn't have the colossal. I assume that the Amazing Colossal Man came first before Kirby had his big nuclear explosion and having all your flesh powdered off by that, the way that Bruce Banner was. Yeah, the Amazing Colossal Man went through the exact same thing the Hulk went through and became a monster as well. Yeah.
Well, if you believe the origin of Marvel, or the origin of, what is it? Origin of Marvel Comics or whatever, according to Stan Lee, he was inspired by Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Actually, he was inspired by Martin Goodman telling him that there was a Frankenstein model kit that was selling really well.
Oh yeah.
Because Martin Goodman was always. Oh yeah.
It would be worth money if I still had my Revell kit of all the monsters I had. My favorite was the Hunchback.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, the Hunchback was great. I mean, they were nice sculpts. They were pretty cool little models.
I've seen pictures of them. They look pretty cool. I think they've re-released them a few times.
Probably, yeah.
Or knocked them off or whatever.
Hey, now we really have run over, Scott. Where are we at? Let me see how much time we've spent.
So I want.
1 hour and 17 minutes.
So here's what I did. I want to go over this. So I changed this, even though this still isn't as dynamic as I was hoping for. But I think it's better than this.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. And then this, you can't see it in this one. Well, I'll show you the thumbnails. So in the thumbnail, now this is flipped, but in the thumbnail, the sword was coming down. Mm-hmm. And I realized it's going to chop her head off. So I'm going to come up with an arc from like down here, or something like this. So you get the feeling like it's right at her neck,
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the work I put in will make it better, than just randomly waving the sword around. And it'll get her in the neck. So she's getting the sword in the neck, and this other girl's like holding her, got her kind of a bear hug. Anyway, okay, are you ready? Are you trying to?
Yeah, I guess I'm. Well, no. I was just going to ask you a question here. I wish you could see my mouse moving across the page as I look at your art. It doesn't look like your car and your truck are measuring the same, and they don't look like they're in perspective the same.
I need to do something, don't I?
I think you maybe could rethink a couple of things. I'll send you some notes about what I think. I'll do some screen captures from what you got right there, and I'll send you a note or two about it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess we're probably about done here. And hey, everybody, thanks for showing up. Thanks for chatting.
Thanks for watching.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.